Everybody, welcome to my guide for Path of Building. This is a pretty much mandatory tool for playing PoE. I don't really know anybody that plays PoE that doesn't have POB, and if you're a new player, it can be a little daunting because it kind of seems like a lot of information, but it's not that bad. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to import a build, and I'm also going to show you how to fix your build. Well, how to start fixing your build or figuring out what's wrong with your build if you ever get to a point where you're thinking like, man, I'm a little too squishy or I'm not doing enough damage. I will show you how to kind of one-to-one your build with the POB that you're following, because if you're a new player, there's like a 99% chance you're following a build, and I'm going with the popularity one on this. I'm assuming a lot of new players are playing Lightning or Deadeye, so we're actually going to use Crouching Tuna's guide for Lightning Arrow because that's honestly what a lot of you are probably using as well. So hopefully this helps. If you're a brand new player, you might want to skip a little bit ahead because we are going to be talking about like the basics of importing builds and stuff like that. But yeah, so without further ado, when you first get, let me get rid of PoE here. When you first open Path of Building, make sure you get the community fork, by the way. Do not get the normal one. Get the Path of Building community fork. I'll have a link in the description for it. But so when you open POB, you won't see any builds here. These are just ones that I've saved. So you want to hit the button for new build. And then when you're on this screen, it shows you the skill tree and some stats. So I'm going to grab, so right here is Tuna's Lightning Arrow guide on max roll. So if you come down to the gear section, right here it says POB, click to copy. You click on it, and then in POB you go to this import export build tab, and then you're going to paste right here the URL and then hit import. So here's Tuna's POB, and then what you want to do is you want to click save. Before you do anything, you want to save it right at the top, and we'll just call it Lightning Arrow LS League Start, and then save. So the reason you want to save it right away is because like if you accidentally, like if you were dragging around the skill tree and you clicked something, see it draws the path to that node. So if you ever like accidentally click something and then you save it, it's gonna have this path. You might be like, oh, I wonder why I take this, even though you're not supposed to. So I always just import them and then save them right away to prevent that from happening, because I've done that. So be careful for that. And then once you import it, you'll see up here vol Lightning Arrow, Lightning Arrow. You can just see a whole bunch of calculations here. You can see offense, defense, pretty much everything you could imagine about the character. Full DPS 16.4 million. That's a lot of damage. So that's how you import builds and save them. And then if I were to back out, you would see that Lightning Arrow League Start is now saved here in the build list, so you can just reopen it. Alright, so if I was going to follow this build, I would be first looking at the items. So you can see he's got, not all POBs have this, but the ones that are decent do. So he's got early gear, mid game gear, and late game gear. I'm not going to go through all this gear because this is going to be a lot more general than just Lightning Arrow. But you'd be able to hover over all this, see what he's using. Same thing for this. This is the skills. This is the gems. And for this build in particular, I don't think it matters. But for some builds, you'll have something like a bow that says plus level of socketed gems. So you can see he's got all of his skills here, and they're socketed in weapon 1. The reason that matters is because if you want plus level to bow gems, like if you're playing explosive arrow, or I think toxic rain wants it too, and you have that in your body armor, then you're not getting the plus level of gems. Same if you have like, I think minion gems in your helmet or gloves, I believe can have that mod, plus level of AoE gems. So just look if your gear has that mods. Otherwise it's not a huge deal where your 6 link is, as long as you have one. But yeah, you can see the little icons on the left, so you can see his weapon here, his chest piece, his boots, his gloves, and you can see what he socketed in each one. You can also hover over it. So if I hover over Lightning Arrow, you see how it kind of highlights everything else? That means that these gems are supporting Lightning Arrows. If I hover over Trinity, it's lighting up Lightning Arrow. So you can kind of tell if your gems are supporting each other or not. So that's good. You can also see the gem level over here. And now for this is the calcs page, the calculations page. This is where a lot of your time is going to get spent in POB when you're like troubleshooting and stuff, because you know that this build works and your build doesn't. That's probably a good reason why you're watching this. So as of right now, you can see how much physical damage he's taking here. You can see, oh, sorry, this is how much damage he's doing, not taking. So this is skill hit damage, and then this is damage taken. So this blue box here is how much damage he's taking from hits. The orange boxes are how much damage he's doing. And then you got, you know, life, mana. It's all kind of self-explanatory. What's really important, and I'll get into this later, is if... So he's got a 100% chance to suppress spells. And if you don't, and you're like, man, I really want 100% spell suppression, you can actually click on it. You can left click and then drag your mouse somewhere else and it will stay highlighted. You can see every place that he's getting spell suppression from. It shows you his gear on the tree where he's getting it, and that's really good for comparing because that works for all of these boxes. You can just click on them, and we'll get more of that later. But also notes, he doesn't have any. Sometimes there'll be well, he has a max roll article, so he doesn't really need them, but a lot of times this will be filled out with information you need. Configuration isn't a huge deal. Well, it is, but the configuration is how POB can calculate your damage correctly. But for a new player, all you need to worry about is looking up here at what well, he didn't fill them out. Usually these will be filled out for what pantheons you take, but that's, as a new player, that's usually all you need from the calcs page. And then also on the, I don't think he, well, he has a couple actually. So some POBs, again, his is on max roll, so he doesn't need it, but some POBs in this drop down box will have like a level 10 tree. Well, actually I can just show you a build that has that, because I think the Zizzarin EA build has that. Yes, it does. So you can see level 12, he shows you what to take, and then, or 13 rather, and then 32. So they'll use this drop down box for more and more and more stuff. And then at the end, he's got an endgame tree, and then he's got another endgame tree if you find it on Natural Instinct. So pay attention to the drop down box. That can be very helpful. For Tuna's build specifically, he does have that step-by-step tree, but it's on his max roll article. I'll link that in the description too. So, and then over here, you can see the ascendancy that he chose. And also in these, when you're going down them, it will usually show you what ascendancies to take in which order. That's another thing he's got on the max roll page. Timeless Jewels I'm not going to get into too much because I'm going to make a video for Timeless Jewels specifically, but what you do need to know about POB is by importing an item, which I will show you how to do in this video, you can actually test jewels from the trade website to see if they're going to give you the things that you want. So he has a Lethal Pride in here, and if you hover over some of these notables, you can see that if you don't know how Timeless Jewels work, they're... I'm not going to get into Timeless Jewels, but the bottom, so the 20% stun duration on enemies, that doesn't usually come from Forces of Nature. That's being added by the Timeless Jewel. So you can put your jewels in here and check all the notables for what you're going to get. Some fire resistance, ignites, deal damage faster. That's not really great for this build, but still, that's how POB can help you with your jewels, because you can put them in before you buy them, and especially because a lot of popular Timeless Jewels are multiple divines, you really want to make sure they're right, because even the Timeless Jewel calculator website can kind of mess up sometimes, so you always want to import them to POB and make sure you actually get the notables you want. Yeah, so, and what else should we talk about? I'm trying to keep everything in order. So I'm going to show you, if I was in a position where I was like, okay, I feel like my build is okay, but there's some stuff I should change. This is what you should do. You should open up the POB that you're following, and then open Path of Building again. You can open it twice. You can open it more than that, but twice is all that matters. So you want to open the same build on both, and then you want to split screen it like that. So you're seeing two builds. I'm actually going to hide my camera for this too, so you can see behind me. And then what you want to do is you want to go back to import export, and then you want to type your account name in here. I'm going to use my friend Sigga, so I'm going to type in Sigga the Seer, because this is the build that she's playing this league, and I'm willing to bet that she made some mistakes because this is like her first PoE league ever. So cut her some slack, but we're going to type in the account name there. And by the way, your account has to be public on the PoE website for this to be possible. So make sure you go to your privacy settings on the PoE website and make sure your account is public. Otherwise, you will not be able to pull your own Path of Building. So you type in your name, and then you hit start, and it will display a drop down of the characters. So we want to pull Sigga's Deadeye, and then you want to click both of these buttons. You want to import the passive tree, and then you want to import the items. Now the reason it's important that you import your build on top of the build that you're following is because this the configuration page is going to already be done for you. If you just open a blank build and import yourself, this page will not be done for you, meaning your calculations might not be accurate. Usually matters more for damage calculations, but it does matter all in all. It's just a lot easier to do it this way. So after you import your build, you want to go to your main skill here and change it to your main skill. So lightning arrow, and then lightning arrow. Okay. So, well, I guess, well, either one doesn't matter. Well, I guess it does matter actually. I'm not a big lightning arrow player, but usually when you import builds, they can screw up on the vol skills. So you can see, well, it actually didn't. I know it does for Molten Shell. It'll sometimes enable the vol version, but not the normal version. So make sure you uncheck the one for vol and check the one for non-vol for things like Molten Shell. Otherwise, it's going to tell you your effective hit pool is like insanely high. So you can see right here, effective hit pool is 13k. Effective hit pool is kind of like how tanky you actually are, how much HP you kind of have. Because there's builds that have like 60,000 effective hit pool, but their HP is only like 4,000. So effective hit pool matters more than life, kind of. Just this number's very good. So then you kind of just start side by side looking at things. You know, you can kind of see. So on his bow, Tuna's running fire damage, cold damage, and lightning damage because this is a Trinity build. Then he has attack speed, crit chance, and then he has crafted chance to deal double damage. So you can 1-to-1 and then look at the other bows. So Sigga has a dex roll, fire, cold, and lightning, crit, and attack speed. So she's very, very close to having the same build Tuna does. She could probably get better rolls on this with like a fractured base or something, but this video is not about crafting. This is more just like how you can fix your build. So we can also look if we go, so you can do this, you can 1-to-1 everything, you can go to your skills, you can make sure you have everything set up correctly, but then you want to go to calcs. And this is where you're going to spend a whole shit ton of your time trying to figure out what's what, because yeah, you can figure out why you're dying and they're not. So you can see evasion rating, Tuna has 37,000, Sigga has 25,000, so she's like 10,000 evasion rating shy. So if she wanted to figure out why that was, she could click on the base from armor and then start looking at what he has that she doesn't. Same with global. You can kind of just go down the list and check every single thing out. See her resistances are a little bit low. She can see where he's getting all that. And this just, it works for every little thing. You can just sit here and compare all the calculations. Another really good one to look at is all of these defenses here. These are all the ailment immunities. You can see Tuna is completely immune to pretty much everything. Actually not immune to shock, freeze, chill. I wonder why that is. But anyway, yeah, that's how you check all this. You can see how much defense you have against all that stuff. It works the same way with suppression. So he's at 100%. Sigga is at 90. My glasses are dirty. Sigga's at 69%. So she's actually really low. And you can see just from looking at this, she's missing nodes on the tree, and it seems like that's most of what she's missing actually, is just nodes on the tree. So that's not super hard to get. A lot of this might actually be from the Timeless Jewel. I'm not super familiar with Lightning Arrow, but it does look like these are all within the jewel radius. Oh, most of them are, so that's probably a big portion of what's going wrong there. And yeah, so you kind of just want to sit here and look at everything 1-to-1 and figure out why their numbers are higher. That is a lot of PoE, is just comparing yourself to the build you're following and trying to get your numbers to match theirs. And also, you'll notice I actually just made a mistake. All of these damage numbers are, I'm missing boxes. I don't have things here that are over here. I don't see a lot of stuff. The reason for that is at the very top, I have anger selected. I have an aura selected on accident. So you got to make sure you come down and grab the lightning arrow skill if you want to see your skill hit calculations. So it's very, very important that you change the skill here to see this box change, and you choose the skill here to see all of this change. Alright, so that's about all I have to say for how to one-to-one. I mean, a lot of it really is, it just comes down to clicking on the boxes and, you know, click on this one, sit here and go back and forth and figure out where you're missing things that they have. And same thing with the items. It really is just sitting here and looking what's missing on your build. I'm not going to sit here and explain all of these numbers because a lot of them are self-explanatory. One thing I do want to touch on though, if you're not able to fit in your auras, you want to come down to this mana box and you want to make sure that this total base, increased, all of this should match what they have. But also, if you click on reserved, you can see Grace is taking 37%. So if you go to Sigga's, I hope she's running Grace. She is, and it's 40%. So she's missing aura reservation efficiency. So that means either she can't turn all of her auras on, or when she turns all of her auras on, she has pretty much no mana. And you'll actually see, yep, right here, there's a warning. So right here in red at the bottom, there's a warning, and if you hover over it, your unreserved mana is negative. That means Sigga doesn't have enough mana to turn all of her auras on. So that is, it's a very, very common problem, but that's when you want to come here and start looking at these boxes and figuring out why can he reserve more auras than I can? What am I missing? That kind of thing. Alright, so the other thing I wanted to show you guys is, say I'm actually going to close Tuna's build and we're going to look at just Sigga's build. So what if you're looking at your items and maybe you got really lucky and you dropped like, well actually let's say you're farming and you want to buy a headhunter. You're very close to buying the headhunter and you want to see how it's going to impact your build. So what you can do is you can go onto the trade website, and this works for all items by the way, not just headhunters. But when you're on the trade website, you can type in, we'll just use a headhunter because it's fun. And then the trade website has this button right here called copy item. So you click that and then it'll say item text copied. And then back on POB on the items page in this box, you click on the box and then you paste and then you click add to build. So now I can go to her belt slot. I can click that and then I can click headhunter. And I can see how it changes my numbers. It'll change all of the calculations page. POB, it's just a giant calculator, and you can change everything in it. So this add to build thing, it works for everything, jewels, all that stuff. So you can see here where her jewels are. She actually has an open slot with no jewel in it. But if I were to add a jewel to this build, so let's just say Watcher's Eye Prismatic Jewel. So I'm not going to sit here and find a perfect Watchers, but if you did, you could copy the Watcher's Eye, paste it in, add to build, and then in the socket, you'd click here, and the newest items are always on the bottom. So then you can click on that, and then you can see bumped up her effective hit pool a little bit, because Watcher's Eye has flat ES and life. So, or I guess it's percentage, isn't it? Well, either way, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, you can sit here, you can paste different things in, see how it would change your build. And by the way, if you ever make a change to your build and like in game and you want to import it, you have to refresh the server basically for what you're wearing. So let's just say I just put my mage blood on and I want to go pull it in POB. If I go pull it in POB, it might show me with no belt, it might show me with my old belt. So how you can force it to update is you just exit to character select and then spam enter. You're loaded back in. So that act of going back to character select and logging back in, it will refresh the PoE server with the new gear that you're wearing. So I don't know if that's, there might be other ways of doing that. I don't know if you just go to your hideout if it'll do it, but also this is a complete side note, but if you ever drop something really rare like a mirror or a headhunter or mage blood or whatever, make sure that you go and put it in your stash immediately, because if you pick it up and you run around for another couple seconds, then you DC or you crash or anything like that, if you load back in and your map's closed, you will get rolled back and you will not keep the items that you just looted. So I know that's a complete side note, but it's a very good tip because you just put that shit in the stash immediately. Make sure the game knows you have it. Yeah, so once you log out and log back in, you just go back to import, and then this should already be here because you already overlaid your build. So then you can just passive tree and then items, and then same thing. You got to go back in and you got to change. Oh, actually you don't. Look at that. Boom. But yeah, it'll have your new items then. So that is how you do that. And I think that might be just about everything I wanted to touch on. You can sit here and hit the plus and minus to gem levels to see how that would change stuff. You can kind of test if you're going to hit certain breakpoints or not, like with an Empower or with an Enlighten. Same thing with Awaken gems. If you have like plus level to gems on your gear and you have like a level Empower, or certain level Empower in there, you're trying to get away with not spending like a bajillion divines on a level 5 Empower. You can see what it would be if you did have a level 6 or whatever. So that kind of stuff is really nice. And yeah, I think that might be pretty much everything. POB, well, I'm sure it's not everything. POB is a very powerful and complex tool, but the basics of it really aren't that hard. And the more you use it, the more comfortable you'll get with it. And yeah, that side-by-side thing, I got to give a shout-out to my man Hitsman for teaching me that. It will fix your builds like you would not believe. It really highlights some pretty big issues. And yeah, my cat's like a million degrees laying on me. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about POB for now. I'm trying to keep it somewhat simple without like making it super convoluted and confusing. But yeah, use it. It's a powerful tool. Use it a lot. If you have any questions about it, feel free to hop in my Twitch chat if I'm live. There's a questions channel in the Team 99 Discord. You can leave a comment if you have a question. DM me. I've been getting a lot of very positive support on my PoE guys recently, so I appreciate all the support from that, guys. But yeah, follow me click the links in the description, do all that cool shit. Yeah, I'll be around. Thanks again to Sigga for letting me use your build, by the way, but now I'm just rambling, so yeah. Let me know if you need any help, guys, but other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.